بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. وعن أم المؤمنين أم عبد الله عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يغزو جيش الكعبة فإذا كانوا ببيداء من الأرض يخسف بأولهم وآخرهم. قالت قلت يا رسول الله كيف يخسف بأولهم وآخرهم وفيهم أسواقهم ومن ليس منهم؟ قال يخسف بأولهم وآخرهم ثم يبعثون على نياتهم. متفق عليه. وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا هجرة بعد الفتح ولكن جهاد ونية وإذا استنفرتم فانفروا. متفق عليه. ومعناه لا هجرة من مكة لأنها صارت دار إسلام. Aisha radiallahu anha, Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, Aisha radiallahu anha, she narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, an army will raid the Kaaba, and when it reaches a desert land, all of them will be swallowed up by the earth. She, meaning Aisha radiallahu anha, asked, O Messenger of Allah, why all of them when there are amongst them the traders, the people who buy and sell, and those who are not with them or from amongst them? So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, all of them will be swallowed by the earth, but they will be raised on the day of judgment according to their intentions. And also Aisha radiallahu anha narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is no migration after the conquest of Makkah, but the only thing that remains is jihad and intention. So if you are summoned to fight, then go forth. So these two ahadith are under the same chapter as the previous hadith, the first hadith, which was the hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu regarding the intention. And in the second hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, or rather the first hadith that we just mentioned tonight, in which she mentions that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that an army will come to destroy the Kaaba. And before they arrive at the Kaaba, they will be encamped in a particular area. Where is that area? We don't know. It is just saying bibayda, which means in a desert land. And so all of them will be swallowed up, the first of them and the last of them, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them the same way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed Abraha. The same way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed Abraha, Allah will also destroy them, but even more in a magnificent way. But the surprising thing is, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also went to Makkah to conquer it. But he was not. Nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. And so, Dr. Badawi, Doctor, he whispered, he said, it is because of the intention. What was the intention of the Prophet ﷺ in conquering? His intention of conquering Makkah was not for pillaging and destroying and destruction of the sacred house of Allah, but his intention was what? Was to save it, rescue it from the filth of idolatry and return it to that foundation which it was founded upon by Ibrahim alayhi salam. And so, but Abraha, and towards the end of time, when the people, an army will come. And the Prophet ﷺ in another hadith, I think it's in Sahih Muslim, he described who it's going to be led by. He mentioned that it's going to be led by an Ethiopian slave. And he's going to be the leader of it, and he's going to go to destroy the Kaaba. And so, another issue of intention is the Prophet ﷺ said the first of them and the last of them, meaning here's the army, they're going towards Makkah to destroy it. So here's the first of them and here's the last of them. The earth is just going to swallow them. From the first until the... But then in between there is going to be what? The marketplace, the people that they're passing by. And so Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, "O Prophet of Allah, how is that going to be? Like, what did those innocent people do?" A very legitimate question. What did those people do that were not with them or from them? Why are they going to be destroyed? And so the Prophet ﷺ repeated that all of them will be destroyed, or all of them will be swallowed by the earth, the first of them and the last of them. But then on the Day of Judgment, they will be raised according to their intention. They will be raised according to their intention. Which means what? Which means that when the punishment of Allah comes, it's not going to discriminate, oh, this guy, he was righteous, no problem, we save him. No, it's going to indiscriminately affect the pious and the righteous. In fact, in certain ahadith, it says that it may even be started with the righteous people if they failed to stop the evil that was happening in the land. And so when there is a disaster, a flood, when there is an earthquake, when there is a tsunami, we saw what happened in 2004, right? Innocent people, everyone was, many people were destroyed. I went to Indonesia, in Banda Aceh, that masjid, that famous picture that went viral, went and prayed in that masjid, that everything was destroyed except that masjid. In fact, when I went there, I saw that there were ships, huge ships, still on top of the roofs of certain big structures. Like, subhanAllah, why? Because it just brought them from the deepest part of the ocean, and they're still on top of the roofs. People just left it as an ibarah, as a reminder. And Banda Aceh is one of the most religious provinces in Indonesia. And yet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not distinguish. But on the Day of Judgment, everyone will be raised according to their intention. And this tells us another aspect of our aqeedah as well. That if someone is part, it tells us something about our aqeedah, that if someone, for example, if he curses Allah, wal-'iyadu billah, is this person a kafir? Someone curses Allah, is this person a kafir? Huh? Yeah, it should be a very simple question. Yeah, but what if the person, he did not have intention to do so? You're like, how is that possible? How can you curse Allah and you don't have intention? Oh, we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which a person, he is traveling and he takes a nap under the tree to take some rest with his camel and all of the belongings upon that camel. And then what happens? When he wakes up, his the person he's traveling, and all of a sudden his camel and everything on the camel gets lost. So now you know what it means to be traveling in the desert, and then your camel gets lost, and then on top of that, all of your belonging, your food and your water gets lost. That's certain death. You cannot find, if you're not familiar with the desert terrain, it is not possible for you to find your way out of the desert when there's no landmarks. An interesting fact is when you are in the desert and there's no landmarks, you'll make a huge circle, depending on if you are a right-handed or a left-handed person. So if you're a right-handed person, you'll be walking, and then you'll just make a huge circle and you'll come back, hey, my footprints are right here. And if you're left-handed, you'll be walking. You think you're walking straight, but naturally you'll be swerving, even if it's like 1 centimeter to the left, and then you make a huge circle. That's why if you're not a Bedouin, if you're not someone who is of the desert, if you lose this, that's it. It's certain death. So this person, he takes shade under a tree or certain bushes, and he finds shade in that tree, waiting for death to come. Because he knows useless to go around walking. And then all of a sudden he wakes up and he sees his camel with all of the belongings. He says, "Oh Allah, I am your Lord and you are my servant." Is this kufr? 100% this is kufr. But he did not intend to say that. His tongue superseded his mind. Okay? Sometimes a person just out of extreme joy, instead of saying, "Oh Allah, I love you," he will curse Allah. I'm telling you from experience, people out of extreme love, wallahi, they have divorced their wives. I'm telling you, you guys think I'm making this up. I'm getting these cases. He said, wallahi, I intended to tell her I love you. I said, I divorce you. Yeah? So, when the intention is not there, and that is very, very important. So if a person curses Allah, wal-'iyadhu billah, then, okay, what about a child if he curses Allah? Or if he says anything negative? No, because he's a child, and the child is someone, by definition, that the intention is not there. He's unable to make that intention. Okay? So here the Prophet ﷺ said that although these people are part of that area in which the punishment of Allah comes, on the day of judgment, they وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. Allah, He says in Surah Al-Anfal, chapter 8, verse 25, and fear the affliction, the fitna, which affects not anyone in particular, of those people who do wrong, but it may affect all the good, even the animals. Even the animals will get affected, and they will be destroyed in the process. But on the day of judgment, the humans, they will be raised according to their intention. And also, Aisha radiallahu anha, she says that the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no migration after the conquest of Makkah, but what there is jihad and intention. And so if you are summoned to fight, then go forward and fight. Then go forward and fight. Here the Prophet ﷺ, he has nullified the hijrah both from Makkah to Medina. Why? Because now Makkah, An-Nawawi, he says, لأنها صارت دار Islam, because Makkah has become an Islamic state. And so now there's no more hijrah. He has nullified it. But the Prophet ﷺ has also nullified making hijrah from an Islamic state, from an Islamic country to a non-Islamic country. You cannot. It's haram. But he said, if you want to go, the two things remain. One is jihad and the other is niyyah, meaning what? Intention for jihad. So here, the Prophet ﷺ, he's saying that we are prohibited. La hijrata. Ba'd al-fath, there is no more hijrah. There's no more. You cannot leave an Islamic country to go to a non-Islamic country except in the case of jihad. In the case where you want to go ahead and spread the religion of Islam. So now, the question that is probably on most of our minds is, why are we here? Well, we are here, first of all, with the intention that we want to spread the religion of Islam. And because there is no Islamic khilafah, we cannot do jihad, or we cannot declare jihad as an individual. That's not going to happen. That's one of the conditions. And so, we are here to spread the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned this in Ramadan, that the non-Muslims have done us so many worldly favors. Such as what? Allowing us to flee persecution from our countries, allowing us safe refuge in the country, giving us different types of social services that were not present in our country. How can we repay them back? How can we repay them back? Saving them from the fire, saving them from an eternity in the fire. This is how we can repay them back. Have we ever thought about that? You know, my landlord, he is Salvadorian. Yeah? And so, when he found out who I was, I said, yeah, I'm here as an imam in the Bayan Muslim community. He immediately got interested. Yeah, so you don't need to go with flyers necessarily and say, become a Muslim. You can just say, I'm Muslim. You can wear a hat when you're outside. And look at our sisters, they're always in the front lines. They're always in the front lines when it comes to the da'wah. They're always in the front lines when it comes to putting themselves in harm's way and all kinds of Islamophobia and all kinds of attack against them. What about us men? What have we done? What are we doing? What can we do? Yeah, today I went to Costco, I was dressed fully in my thobe. That's a representation of Islam. Is this from Islam? Yeah, we can argue this all day, but we do know this is what Muslims wear. If you can't wear your thobe, wear a hat, minimum. Because everyone knows you wear a hat, you're a Muslim. Don't tell me the Jews wear it too, because they wear it differently and they have a different type. Represent Islam. That's your jihad right now. Yeah, we go, we are sagging, we are dragging, we are doing all kinds of stuff. Do you know where sagging pants, do they still do it nowadays? Huh, bro? Ya Allah, I thought this was something back in the 90s. Do you know where that was invented? Huh? Brothers, do you know where that was invented? Where? Yeah, in jail. This was invented in jail. Yeah, I don't need to go into the details. Yeah, people who wanted to be, whatever, they would sag. We don't sag. Especially, brothers, when we are before Allah in the masjid, come before Allah in the best attire. Right before the salah, some of the brothers, mashallah, were putting on the atar. Beautiful. Yeah, before you leave the house, spray yourself down with the perfume. Your pants, put it up. Your shirt, put it down. No one wants to see anything. Don't give him nightmares. Okay? Especially when you go ruku' and sajda, we don't want to see it. Okay? Because this is the biggest. Remember, you know whose house this is. Not only whose house this is, but also who else is praying. Not only your fellow Musallin, but also the angels. Imagine the angels writing down, on this day this guy was sagging and his whole crack was showing. Yani, come on, you want this on the Day of Judgment? They're reading your book of deeds, and they're saying these things. We need to have this respect, inshallah. And also, dear fathers and elders, part of the curriculum that I will be developing, inshallah, for your kids, for our youth, is a tarbiyah program across the board. And so I need your active participation and cooperation in this. So what we will be doing, and we need to iron certain things out, inshallah, but this will be in addition to whatever else that we are planning in terms of the education and the ilmi aspect of things, it will be a tarbiyah. And this tarbiyah can only go as far as what your kids are willing to do and how far they want to take it. So as a murabbi, as a disciplinarian, I will be making sure, with rigidness and sternness, that they live up to some of the aims and goals that we put out for them on a yearly basis. And what that would entail, inshallah, is I will be having a meeting with them every single month for 10 to 15 minutes. How much did you memorize of the Quran? I don't care how much you've put. I'm going to let them decide. They say, I want to memorize 1 page a month. Good. They say, I want to memorize 5 lines a month. That's perfectly okay. But I'm going to hold you accountable for it. How much of the Quran you read? Did you respect your parents? Did you respect your older siblings? How many salahs did you pray on average every single day? We all know the importance of praying salah. We all know the importance of reading Quran. But the problem is we don't have that tarbiyah. And so this is what we are going to be implementing, inshallah. So we're not going to have kids just praying wherever they want to pray, dressing how they want to dress, just being, mashallah, when their khutbah is going on, they're all going to be as if they all have back problems. Mashallah, all the elders are here, all of the youngsters, they all have back problems. They're leaning against the wall. No, inshallah. The front rows, bi'idhnillah. The front rows, I'm sorry, my elders, if you don't come early, is all going to be the youngsters. So, sorry, you're going to be in the second row. The front row is going to be all the youngsters. That's the type of tarbiyah vision that I have for them. If, on the condition, both with your cooperation, as well as their active participation and wholeheartedly, inshallah. Okay, and when it comes out, you all will be informed with the details of it, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Yes.
From the hadith of conquering Makkah, so this means that any army who
Yeah, so this is one of the huge issues. Many people in the past have attacked Makkah. Many people have, including Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. He attacked, he catapulted, he even destroyed parts of the Kaaba that was newly renovated. And in fact, the people were scared. The people were actually scared that his jaysh يعني يخسف بأولهم وآخرهم. They are going to be swallowed up. In fact, even Juhayman, as recently as 1979, when he came to conquer, when he came, he sieged the Kaaba. The elder, they would know about this, and it was a very dark time in our recent history. And when the government consulted with the scholars, some of the scholars refrained because they thought that what if they go and they were all going to be swallowed up by the earth. So that is an actual fear that a lot of the people they had, those, or at least those that feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of course, the fitna of Juhayman, as well-intentioned one may argue it was, nonetheless it was a deviated intention that he had, and so the people that went to conquer, the army that went to take back because they flooded the Kaaba with water, and then they put electricity, and they basically killed most of the people inside the Kaaba, along with the hostages and along with the hostage takers. It was, I think, for a few weeks or a few days, I think 19 days or something like that, they had taken that. But this hadith in particular is talking about towards the end of time. And this is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment, that an army will come and take over. And so anytime it was taken over, immediately you could imagine the scholars and the Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who was the Khalifa of the Muslim of Makkah and Medina, they had that fear, and they were actually relying, you could say, on the fact that no, it's not going to be, they're going to be destroyed. But then this particular hadith is for a specific time, and Allah knows best. Yeah, yeah. Don't forget your weapons.